welcome to Unofficial Commentary by the Unqualified. I'm Adam,
And I'm Peter.
and we haven't been on in a few weeks. We've been having technical issues. I will take the blame for that one. Um, that's entirely on me. But now it appears to be working. You might get an echo from Peter talking, but that
But
should
it's not
be
my fault.
that should be the only issue. Yeah, that's just because my computer's still a little bit screwed up. But let's launch into this. Um, So what should we start out with? Actually, let's talk about the year 1945 to start out. Do you know why that's significant?
The year 1945.
Yep.
Hmm. Does it have anything to do with World War II?
Possibly.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, so as we all know, 1945 was the year World War II ended for both the Pacific Theater and and in Europe. Um, it was also in that year. The you know what the Best Picture winner was that year?
Um, no.
Going My Way was the Best Picture winner that year. And it was also the last time the Cubs made the World Series
Oh, okay.
before this year. So the Cubs are going to the World Series.
But they
Um,
haven't. They didn't win in 1945, right?
no, they haven't won since 1908, I think.
That's I was listening to part of my take today, and the one guy's from Chicago and he's a Cubs fan, and he was like, um, he was asking him about how the fans are acting, and he thinks they're being too excited already. And he's like, "Oh, so you think they should act like they should try to act like a team that's been there before?" But then you have to remember that no one alive has ever been there before.
Yeah, exactly. Um, Now, for the record, the Cubs went into this World Series in 1945, and first off, it was a little bit different because it was the 1945 season was the last year. It was the last year of World War II, so the teams were a little bit picked bare because everyone was drafted. Like all of the great players were all in either Europe or Pacific fighting. So you had everyone else left who wasn't fit to fight. Um,
So that means they were probably shitty athletes.
well, yeah. Actually, during those seasons is when there was that famous guy who had one arm who was playing baseball for I forgot what team. That's not an exaggeration. He literally had one arm. The Cubs lost the series to the Detroit Tigers, 4 games to 3, um, and since then have not been back to the World Series. Um, Now the Detroit Tigers also still exist, obviously, and they have. Let's see when the last time they made the World Series
Well,
was.
they're in Detroit, so
Yeah,
I'd rather
exactly.
never. I'd rather never win a World Series and live in Chicago than like win a World Series every year and have to live in Detroit.
Okay, they won in 20. They won the AL pennant in 2012 and in
I'd like winning the
2006.
World Series.
No, they
As a
got to the
Mets
World
fan,
Series in 2012. And then
as
they've
a
won
Mets
the
fan,
World
I
Series,
consider
and
winning
they
a.
have 4 titles to date in the World Series.
For me, this is a win-win situation because if the Cubs win the World Series, I'm like, oh, good for them. Like, I'm happy for them. I have nothing against the Cubs, but if they lose, it will be hilarious.
I I want the Cubs to win because I don't want Cleveland to get another
That's true. I
because
do not like Cleveland.
I do not like the Cavaliers in the slightest, and that has
Also,
everything to do with LeBron James and his cancerous fan base.
yes, and I heard what's his name, Hannibal Buress talking about making fun of LeBron James, and he's like, you could tell he's on human growth hormone because of how fucked up his hairline is,
Yeah. Well,
and
he
how
did. He did get everyone talking about what's it called, Bill Cosby. So maybe that'll help blow the whistle on
that's
this
what
too.
I think. Yeah, he does. He's the official whistleblower of comedy.
Yeah.
The
So
and I'm happy. Part of my take also talked about this. Um, if you have an offensive logo, either change your logo when you're bad or never get good. Because if you never get good, no one will talk about it, like the
mhm.
Cleveland Indians and
Yeah.
the Redskins. But if you get good while you're still have an offensive symbol, everyone's going to hate you for having an offensive symbol or logo or name. But then your weird fan base won't let you change it because now you're good.
Yeah.
And the Cleveland Indians have the most offensive logo of any of the Indian themed logos.
Yeah, the Blackhawks, the Braves,
I think the Blackhawks are the least offensive. The Redskins don't have an offensive logo; they just have the most offensive name.
Yeah.
But I think the Blackhawks are the least offensive all around.
No, I think the Braves are.
Oh no, never mind. I agree. Braves, because
the Braves don't have any indication. They have a tomahawk in their logo, but that's it.
I agree. I think Braves are the best. Cause yeah, that's why I don't even think I thought about them, because it's just a tomahawk and Braves. Blackhawks, I guess, is good because it's an actual Blackhawk like tribe. It's not just a word for a Native American.
Yeah.
But it still shows like the chieftain with the feathers, so it's a little bit much.
Yeah, I think that all around should be gotten rid of. The use of the caricature, like obviously, literally. Do you know what the name of the Chiefs too? I forgot about them. Do you know what the Indians name of their logo is?
No. What is it?
Chief Yahoo.
Oh my god. That's hard. And he's actually like a red
St. John's. Like St. John's used to have their logo used to be, they were the Red Men, was their team name. Then in the 80s they changed it to the Red Storm.
Yep.
Which is stupid, but at least it's not offensive to Native Americans. Which I'm gonna bring this up only because this is asinine to begin with, but a poll from ESPN showed that 9 out of 10 actual Native American people have no opinion whatsoever on the use of the name Redskins or the logo for the Indians.
Mm-hmm.
It's other people getting offended on behalf of them, but actual Native Americans just like, whatever, I don't care.
Did you ever watch Saved by the Bell?
No.
There's an episode of Saved by the Bell where Zach has to do a project on Native Americans, and it's incredibly racist, but it's because he like at first does a joke about it, and then this teacher's like, you have to take this seriously. So he comes in like in full Indian headdress and does a report, and it's supposed to be serious. It is so good. I'm trying to find a picture of it so I can show.
Did you see the lawsuit that happened when the Indians headed to Toronto to play the Blue Jays?
No, what happened?
So the city of Toronto tried to sue the Cleveland Indians and say you can't use your logo when you're playing in Toronto. Like you just kind of gotta find something else to use. And the MLB was just like, this is retarded. Like, we don't have time for this. We have to get this done in a timely fashion because we have the World Series to play. Like, we can deal with this in the off season. But Toronto's like, no, it's defamatory and some other stupidity. So.
Yep, you are welcome. That was a serious part of the episode too.
Nice. But yeah, so as for the actual sport of this, not just talking about the fact that it's happening, I actually predict that the Cubs are gonna win this in 6.
I also think the Cubs are gonna win. Yeah.
I think the Cubs managed to make a fool out of Clayton Kershaw in Game 6 of the division series. I don't think the pitching on the Indians is anywhere near as good as what Clayton Kershaw can do. So it's gonna be a shit show. That's what I think. Of course, also the Cubs also have the issue of they just can't hit for entire games on end, and it just has no reason why that happens. It just happens. But I still think Cubs in 6 is gonna be how this is gonna turn out. So yeah, football. We have quite a lot of football to cover.
We can just go into this. I'm just annoyed at the state of the NFL.
I love football as a sport. Like,
You just start watching more college football. I think it will make you feel better.
Probably. Well, because the NCAA isn't that well run either. The NCAA is a shit show too, but in a different way. Um, the
They just hide sexual assaults more.
Exactly. Well, the NFL has them beaten hiding domestic abuse, but
Yeah, it's different. I guess they progress as they get older.
yeah. So let's start out with that.
We should talk about which is worse.
No. Let's start out with the Josh Brown incident. So kicker for the Giants, Josh Brown, was indefinite. I don't know, was it indefinitely suspended or was suspended for the season for his pattern of abuse toward his wife
I
and
think
kids?
it's suspended until further notice. So
Yeah, okay,
basically,
so indefinite.
indefinitely.
Um, he was suspended following the release of information that the NFL may or may not have known at the time, indicating a pattern of abuse toward his wife and kids. Most notably, disregarding, I'm going to completely disregard, for the sake of this, the therapy journal his therapist had him make, which outlined anytime he felt violent toward his wife and kids, because that should be covered by doctor-patient confidentiality, so I'm assuming the league didn't have access to this when they made the decision to only suspend him for one game to start the season. What they did know was at the Pro Bowl, they had to have private security move his wife and kids from one hotel to another because he was a threat to them.
Did you also hear about that private security force harassing her?
No, I didn't hear about that.
They after they separated because she left Josh Brown.
Mm-hmm.
And then she was like dealing with police. The NFL had its own private security force. It's like a firm. I forget what they're called. And they like went to her house and were like trying to get her not to go to the police. And they're just like, we can just handle this internally.
That makes me hate the NFL even more.
Yep, you're welcome for that. She basically, I'm like, good for her. She just was just like, well, fuck you, and then she just slammed the door in their face and like wouldn't refuse to talk to the NFL at all, and just like, and the police were just like, yeah, you can just talk to us.
See, the NFL, you would think after... Now, let's talk about the other major incident where the NFL knew more than they let on, covered it up, then it all came out, and the NFL looked like a bunch of assholes. And I said then Goodell should have resigned, and he didn't. And now we're in this situation where Goodell should also resign now. Since Goodell has taken over, the NFL has gone downhill greatly. And it's been nothing but them taking minor stuff and making it much bigger than it has to be, just to make them look better. Like Deflategate. Who gives a crap?
Yes, exactly. Now they're still talk. Actually, I guess they should talk about Deflategate, where when the first thing came out, they just like slapped Josh Brown on the wrist and suspended him for one game.
Yeah.
Where Tom Brady's getting suspended for 4 games, like over a season after the fact.
For one PSI.
Mm-hmm.
It was
Where
a one
really...
PSI difference. I don't like Tom Brady. He comes off like an asshole. I don't like him. But that is not a 4-game suspension worthy incident.
Can I tell you a funny Tom Brady thing in between this? Okay, did you hear what happened with the paparazzi?
No.
Apparently, he was sunbathing nude, and they took pictures of him.
Nice.
And then he was like mad, and he was just like, "That's not fair. Like, you can't take pictures of me," which is understandable. Like, I agree that it should have its privacy. But then on part of my take, they're like, "Oh wait, so you don't like someone filming you when you're not paying attention, and then them using that to their own advantage?"
That's true. Yes, I forgot about that too. But let's compare the incidents for a minute for Ray Rice and Josh Brown. Okay, we've seen the Ray Rice video. This is worse. What?
I think this is worse.
Yeah, because the Ray Rice video has 2 drunk individuals in an elevator, like one pushing the other, and then Ray Rice punching her, knocking her out. Not saying that's okay. That's not the point I'm trying to convey here.
That's something else that should have gone to the police, and then the NFL tried to hide.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that's another. Yeah. That was a 2-game suspension off the bat. Okay? Had nothing to do with the league, by the way, because that was during the offseason when that happened. The incident that would have been investigated by the NFL for the Josh Brown incident would have been the one in the hotel, which happened after the Pro Bowl in a room comped by the NFL to another room comped by the NFL with his wife and kids. So multiple people are influenced who had nothing to do with the situation and were in no way baiting him on.
Yep.
Or in no way instigating the incident any further than it had to be. This should have been I would say 8 to full season suspension. 8 games of full season suspension. Right off the bat. Because it's my opinion that if you are a starter in the NFL, I don't care what position you play, somewhere in the country there's a kid that has a picture of you up on his wall. I don't care if you're the place kicker for the Giants. Somewhere, some kid has a picture of you on his wall. He looks up to you. And when you go and you do this to your wife and kids, and now you get off basically scot-free for it, you're sending the the league is sending the message to these kids, you can do this and get away with it and have no repercussion from it. Because we will protect you if you have any talent.
Yeah. I was about to say, as long as you're like somewhat competent in football, they're just going to try to sweep it under the rug for you.
Exactly.
As long as you're not a minority that murdered someone, like Aaron Hernandez, then you're fine.
Yeah. Well, I think murder supersedes the NFL.
I would be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. If they come out that Roger Goodell covered up murders.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you do have Ray Lewis.
Yeah, I would say half the team of the Baltimore Ravens.
Exactly. Now, the other big thing in the NFL this week, from a league management standpoint, ratings are down.
Yes, because football this year is horrible.
Exactly. That's what the problem is. Stop blaming it on Trump and Hillary. Stop blaming it on everything else. It's the games have been awful.
Yes, part of it is the rules, because there's no clear rules for any rule in football. Yeah. So that's really annoying. Part of it's the commercials, where if you watch a football game, something like they kick off or they punt the ball, commercial. Well, the play ends, commercial, come back, punt the ball, commercial, come back, maybe run a play, commercial. Like, you're watching more commercials than anything else. And what do you expect people to do?
Yesterday, the only game I caught I had work was the Giants game early in the day.
Yeah.
Right before halftime, and I only caught like the first half and the last 5 minutes as we were doing 30-minute reviews during most of the second half. But we caught at the very end of the first half, with 1 second to go, they had 2 cuts to commercial break during an injury timeout.
Yep.
With 1 second to go until halftime, you feel the need to have a cut to commercial. Why? You don't need to cut the commercial there. And the thing is too, what's his name? Josh Norman, from the Redskins. He got fined recently for using an overly violent gesture on the field, because I forgot what he did, but it ended with his celebration was him doing a bow and arrow movement, and he got fined for that. And he goes on the radio, and I don't like Josh Norman. He's a prick, just like Beckham.
Wait, is he the one that got into? I think he got into a Twitter fight with someone also.
Odell Beckham Jr.
No. Josh Norman. There's this really weird Twitter fight between 2 football players, and it ended with one of them he actually he should have used more punctuation, because he said watch your ass, or watch your behind, and then and I guess he ran out of characters, but he said, instead of saying I'm coming for you, he said I come on you. It's just watch your ass, I come on you.
No, but he said,
and everyone made fun of him, and then he got mad. It's so funny how arrogant these people are, and they think they're always tough. And I love when people get made fun of as a group that are cocky. It's one of the best feelings in the world.
Yeah, and what he did here was what happened when he goes on a radio show and he starts talking about how what he said was, It's ridiculous that the league is taking this stance about for the kids when in the commercial break immediately after I did that, you showed a commercial for Viagra.
Hmm.
Like the league has become so focused on money. They're trying to keep their message kind of on track, but not entirely.
And then they're so um I've been proud of the Philadelphia Eagles recently. Have you seen what they've been doing?
No, what have they been doing?
Okay, the NFL has a rule where no NFL team is allowed to show highlights of their game.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
And so the Eagles made like recreations of their highlights, not
Yes.
of, and it's not technically of NFL film. So they NFL can't do anything. And then the NFL is like, we're very disappointed in these teams for like disobeying us, and the Eagles keep doing it every week. So I was
Yeah.
like, wow, like I'm actually doing. This is the first thing in history that the Eagles have done that I have supported.
I'm waiting for like them to do like paper football for someone getting a
Mhm.
field goal to end the game.
That'd be really good.
Yeah. But yeah, like, and the thing is, I don't think ratings are actually as down as they seem.
No, I don't think so. I think it's just they're used to people dropping everything that else is like on just to watch football.
Hmm.
But then there's more people watching football streaming it from other services that are not your regular channels.
Yes, that's what the
That's the
problem
other.
is. You have a partnership with Twitter, where Twitter streams the Monday night and the Thursday night games for people who don't have NFL Network. Those
And that
don't count
usually is
toward
a
the
really
ratings.
shitty stream. I tried doing that and it did not work.
It doesn't count toward your ratings though.
Yeah, oh, very true.
Then people who watch it illegally, that's not as big a deal. Sunday Ticket. Like
I
last
watch
year,
it depends what I'm doing, but a lot of times because I have NFL Network through Sling, I'll just watch NFL Network because they'll do like highlights throughout the day, so it's really nice to have on the background.
mhm. But like what I was thinking of was Sunday Ticket. If you do what we did last year, where we had Sunday Ticket just on streaming devices, that doesn't count as a TV rating.
Especially because we would watch the Red Zone channel a
Exactly,
lot.
and Red Zone too, because we'll watch Red Zone if the Giants aren't playing, or my dad likes to watch the Jets too. If one of those teams aren't playing, we'll watch Red Zone.
Yeah, because there's like I don't want to focus all my energy into a game with two teams I
Exactly,
don't really care about.
and it's funny because the Red Zone guys make fun of the games as it's happening.
Yes, yeah, they're really good. That's why I like the NFL Network shows are
Because
good
they're
like
basically
that.
like, "Why are you still watch? Why are we still watching this game? This game's awful."
That's I remember yeah, there was one I was watching Red Zone channel, and the guy literally said it was for Sunday Night Football, like, and I was watching the Red Zone channel because they forgot they didn't shut the stream off yet, and he was just like, "This game does not deserve to be on Sunday Night Football. Like, this is a disgrace."
Like last night's game ended in a 6-6 tie.
Oh yeah, and part of it was a missed 24 yard field goal.
Yeah. Um,
The other one
I,
was a block field goal at least, and then people were freaking out because he touched the kicker. But you have to actually like knock down the kicker for it to like mean anything. It
yeah,
doesn't
on a
actually.
punt, it's a little bit more. They're a little bit more strict on it because of how you have to
Yeah,
have your leg like completely in the air to do it.
yeah. This was it's the everything was legal.
Um,
But Russell Wilson made a good point, and he was just like, "This is dangerous because you're making these people play so much longer."
yeah,
And he was like, his thing was like instead of going into overtime, you do a coin toss. Um, you can do a coin toss. Whoever gets it, um, gets the kick the ball and has to I forget where he said to start it, but they get one run to run a certain point and then have to kick a field goal.
that's not a bad idea actually.
Yeah, it wasn't. They didn't. There wasn't a kickoff because they start at like the 50-yard line or and run can have one chance to move it up and then have to kick a field goal.
And you do that until there's a winner.
No, for his idea was a little extreme. He said that you only go once. If that team misses, then the other team wins.
Uh, yeah, it is a little extreme.
I think you just go back and forth until someone gets it.
Um, so yeah, I'm not quite as incensed at Beckham as I thought I was going to be because he's kind of shut his mouth a little bit.
Yeah, he's getting to the last week, or I guess maybe 2 weeks ago now, when he like proposed to the net that annoyed me.
I'm tired of him. Like,
Those people, no one actually thought that was funny, so I'm happy about that. Like everyone was just like, we don't care. Like you're like an asshole.
yeah,
The best was when he hit the net the first time it smashed him back. That was really funny.
yeah, that was funny. But yeah, I think that's one of the other problems I think the league has, and why, if ratings actually are down, um, then I think it might be an issue. There's more so than ever before. There's more of a focus on players building a brand on themselves.
Yes, yeah.
And and the other thing is, I think we're in like we said it last week. Or the last time we did this. We're in that weird transition period where the old class of quarterbacks is on the way out.
Hmm.
Like Eli's on his last few years. Romo, I honestly, if the Cowboys are smart, Romo's done. Flacco is on his last few years. Drew Brees is on his last few years. Roethlisberger, who knows what state he'll be in after coming back from this meniscus surgery. Um, but it like this is it, and we have the new class of quarterbacks who are trying to gain their footing in the league, and it's that I think that during this transition period, the games aren't going to be as good.
Yeah, and I think another problem is with college football, the NCAA are like building too many players up as like superstars, and they're
Yeah,
getting way too cocky in college football, and then coming into the NFL with a lot of attitude, and then there's like all the like annoying people on the field causing conflict.
like Beckham,
Yes,
Josh Norman,
yes.
Richard Sherman, and Crabtree.
Richard Sherman's hilarious.
Richard Sherman has an attitude.
But he's funny though, so I feel like there's like something different about Richard Sherman where he's funny, so I'm okay with it.
It's like Cam Newton with his like childish behavior.
But Cam Newton loses a lot, so it's kind of funny.
Well, yeah,
So I
that's the
kind
thing.
of like it.
He implodes when he loses.
I also like that he throws his like fuck you to the NFL when he throws the footballs into the stands. So
Yeah,
I do support Cam Newton. Richard Sherman when he did the choke thing, the Crabtree, that was hilarious. Because that was the beginning of the 49ers downfall for the past couple of years. Is when
yeah,
they lost
I hate the
when they
49ers.
lost the National League championship to the Seahawks.
And we didn't address this ever, but I also think the 49ers may also have a role. A Yahoo poll said, and this is coming, I heard this, I forgot what show I was watching. I think it was Skip Bayless and I forgot what the Shannon Sharp.
Yeah, skipping. Yeah,
Their show. A Yahoo poll said, I think it was 90% of people who stopped watching football this year has attributed it to the Kaepernick protest issue.
that's kind of funny. For me, I support his right to protest. Like that's part of like America. Like if you want to protest it, go for it. It's not like he's like flipping people off. But I don't think it's that sincere. I think he realized that he's a really shitty quarterback now, and he's doing it for the attention.
Here's the thing with that is,
Because he can't get fired now.
yeah,
Because if they let him go, then he'll just say it's racist. It's a very good plan.
well, here's the thing with Colin Kaepernick and that whole situation. I agree with you. He has his right to protest. What I disagree with is the league's response to him protesting in that way.
What's their response been?
The league's stance is that there is no obligation for players to stand during the national anthem.
Oh, okay. I'm actually surprised they didn't try to fine him just to get a
No,
little more money.
and
'Cause they
that's
used to
not the only
fine
reason I'm
him-
surprised.
When remember when because the NFL is non for profit, but they made a deal with Beats, I think it was Beats or Bose, where no NFL player was allowed to wear, like if they signed it with Beats, they weren't allowed to wear Bose anywhere in life, or else they would get a fine.
Yeah, and Kaepernick just wore the other one whenever he wanted.
Yep, which I did support that because that's bullshit.
Yeah, and like what's it called? Both Beckham and Cruz got fined for wearing Nikes or whatever their shoes were that had 9/11 that were tributes to 9/11.
Oh yeah, that was
Playing
fun.
Week 1 on September 11th, they got fined for that.
And the fuck, what? I'm trying to. There's one more I thought about. Oh, the Microsoft Surface tablets
Yes.
that apparently everyone hates, but now Bill Belichick is open about how much he hates them.
Yeah. What the league should have done with the Kaepernick issue, I think, and this is my opinion on how they should have handled it. Kaepernick, you have to outright say, because it's disrespectful to people who served in the military, a fine will be levied on anyone who does not stand for the national anthem. And this helps everyone. It helps the league because they get money and they save face with veterans who see what Kaepernick's doing as nonsensical and disrespectful. So they don't lose those people. It helps Kaepernick and people who support Black Lives Matter because he's taking a fine to get his message across. Or
Okay.
it's illustrating that he's full of shit. So
Because
there's
he would
really
then
no
just like,
downside to that solution. They picked the dumbest solution, which is like, yeah, do whatever you want. Like, I don't understand what was going through their heads when they issued that statement. Um,
oh, thinking of Colin Kaepernick made me think of his afro, and
yes.
then thinking of that. Oh wait, can we also address that he grew up in an upper middle class white family?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Because like I think people forget about that a lot. That he was adopted and he's actually from a rich white family.
yeah. It's like Drake.
Yeah,
Like,
Drake's
started
worse
from slightly
because
slightly below the
yeah,
top, and now I'm here.
yeah, Drake's worse because Colin Kaepernick never come out and said like, "Oh, I grew up in the ghetto." Like Drake's actually come out and tried to say he's from the ghetto of
Yeah.
like Canada. Oh yeah, but thinking of Colin Kaepernick's afro made me remember in the Anthony Weiner documentary. In his office, they had like a picture of Bill De Blasio, and they drew an afro on him.
Nice.
There's
Um,
also a part where they show Anthony Weiner at like the gay pride parade where he would. That's when he did the Jamaican thing, um, and everyone loved it. And then Bill De Blasio at the gay pride parade, and everyone ignoring him.
when De Blasio threw out the first pitch at Citi Field, you know what the chant was?
What? Oh, isn't it the one term
One
thing?
term. One term. Um, but yeah, that's actually a pretty good transition from football because really. Oh wait, no, one more football topic to cover. Dallas's quarterback issue
Mm.
we have to
For
address.
me, as a Giants fan, I say let's put Tony Romo back in because it will be hilarious.
Yeah,
As a like neutral football fan, they should not. They should just be like, sorry, Tony, but this is what's best for the team.
yeah, exactly. That's exactly how I feel. It's Dak Prescott is at this point not only the future of the Cowboys at the quarterback
Yeah.
position, he is the present of the quarterback position for the Dallas Cowboys.
And they have to worry about like a team like the Jaguars or the Titans or a lower team.
Hmm.
If they take Tony Romo back over him and he's like, I'm a better player, why are you doing this to me? When his contract comes around, he could just be like, fuck you, Cowboys, and then go to a team where he knows he'll be the starting quarterback,
Yeah,
and it
exactly.
can build a team around himself.
I don't think his contract is that good considering he was a first round, he was a draft pick. Um,
Uh,
let me take a look and see if I can find his let me see if I can
Terms and
find his
conditions.
contract. Let me see how much he's getting. Um, he's at 4-year contract with the Cowboys, including holy crap, that's a lot of money for a quarterback in his position. He gets $680 average per year. $680 million average per year.
I was like, whoa, $680. I
He was-
thought you were gonna say like per game.
And by the way,
They
this
probably rewrote
is
his contract because he's playing so much.
this this draft pick for the Cowboys was a huge get because he was a 4th round draft pick.
Wow.
So it's he had also has what's it called Ezekiel Elliott's the other really big gain for them, and I think that combo you got to keep him in. Um, Now I don't know if there's an opt out clause in his contract. Um,
He could just diarrhea all over the field or throw up on someone.
Because the thing is, I could definitely see because Blake Bortles hasn't been doing great this year. But I think what's it called? I could definitely see him going to the Jets,
I could see the Jet or the Bills.
the Bears, um, the Dolphins. I think is really where it end up going. Really, if you think about it, I think the Dolphins are like the best chance for him if he doesn't end up with the Cowboys again next year. But again, I think if he, I think okay, so Tony Romo is going to be coming back week next, not next week, the week after. I think is where he's set to make his triumphant return.
And then break his collarbone.
Again, yeah, exactly.
That would be the best. Maybe that's his plan. He'll just fake an injury, and then everyone wins. Like if they send him in, and the first throw he falls and hurts himself, then he's just out for the rest of the season.
I think,
and it becomes like a fun tradition every season where the first game, like for the rest of his life, Tony Romo comes out and gets tackled and hurt until he dies on the field. Like he's like 65 years old.
Now next week, I don't think he's gonna play next week, Tony Romo. I don't think they want his first game back to be playing the Eagles.
Maybe they'll do that. Like they're just like, oh, he's not ready, and then the season's over.
Now, if I were to pick the week for his return, I would say do it the week after. If you're gonna put Tony Romo back in, put him in. Actually, next week's the real pick. Is the one that's really gonna matter. If they win next week, Tony Romo should never start again.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they beat the Eagles, they've already beaten the Packers, and they've beaten the Redskins, and they've beaten the Bengals. Well, the Bengals don't really matter. They lost to the Browns. But if they beat the Eagles, I don't think they should ever start Tony Romo again. Now, the Browns are the week after. If you want to give him one last game, like Tony Romo Day at home,
the Browns.
Put him, no, that's an away game. December 18th. Do that. That's his final game he's playing, because at that point you will have either clinched the NFC East, and or you will have gotten, or you're in good position enough where you can risk putting in your backup quarterback, who is still like one of the best quarterbacks. He's a Hall of Famer. Like I'm not gonna put him on a top 10 list or anything like that, but he's a first round Hall of Famer, I think. But yeah, I would say against the Buccaneers, put him that week, or against the Lions the week after, so it's your last home game of the season. That's just Tony Romo Day. Retire his number. Retire him. He's done. Denver is currently winning, by the way, 21-9, with 12:25 to go in the fourth. And the Giants are last place.
They won at least.
Yeah, they're 4-3. They're tied 4-3 with Washington, and
but they lost to Washington.
What?
But they lost to Washington,
right, that's why
they're last.
But they are Dallas in first, Philadelphia in second. So it's a close race for the NFC East. Giants have off next week, and then they play the Eagles and the Bengals back to back. That's gonna be a shit show. They're last in the league in rushing yards. The Giants.
We don't need rushing yards. So that's every year. We don't need rushing yards. We just throw the ball.
Well, they're sixth in the league in passing yards.
Oh, okay. See, that's much better. Oh, it's just the Giants wait until the last quarter, and then they're like, oh, I guess we should play football, and then they throw like 200 yards in one quarter.
Yeah, exactly.
Or lose.
Yeah.
At least it's not like last year where every single game they were winning until the last 3 minutes.
Yeah, that was awful.
Because that was just depressing. Like, every week I had to watch them lose after they're winning an entire game.
Yeah.
Like, I had to watch them, like, the Jaguars have a team record in the history of the Jaguars for a comeback.
Mm-hmm. Because they beat the Giants.
Some people thought that was a conspiracy theory because Tom Coughlin started coaching the Jaguars. That was like 2 years ago, and it was like Tom Coughlin's final nod to the Jaguars. And now Tom Coughlin works for the NFL.
Yeah, like Joe Torre.
He couldn't just. He's like 80 years old though. He couldn't just retire.
Yeah, well, what are you gonna do? The NHL season has started.
Yeah, Devils are not doing well already.
I haven't looked at the standings yet. I know the Rangers have been doing moderately okay, which is really all I can ask for at this point.
I didn't even know the Devils have won one game.
They have. They've won one.
I don't even know if they have. Like, I think that's how bad they're doing.
Let me take a look at the standings are coming up on ESPN.
That's
Right
what
now,
I
the Rangers are in first place in the Metropolitan East with their 6-4, their 4-2 record, 8 points. Then Washington and Pittsburgh. What else is new? Then the Islanders, who are 3-3.
All right.
The Devils are 2-1.
Yeah, not that bad, I guess.
Yeah, they got two. They got 5 points. So they're not doing as awful as one would expect.
But yeah.
But yeah. That they have the Devils are 45-1 to win the Stanley Cup this year. The Rangers are a little bit higher. They are at 20-1. Not awful.
Who's that 1-1?
The Lightning are 7-1. They're the best odds. The Rangers are also 12-1. Nope.
It's really the only thing Tampa Bay has going for it sports-wise is
Hockey.
ice hockey.
The Rangers are 7-1 to win the Eastern Conference. So that'll be fun. But yeah, it's too early to really tell. Besides, we have to wait for Rick Nash to inevitably do his choke right as the playoffs are about to happen. Which I don't think these future odds take into consideration.
When Washington lost in baseball, they were like, "Oh, what a surprise! A Washington team choked in the playoffs."
Yeah, exactly. Like, winners of the President's Cup did not make the Stanley Cup. Good for you. Good job, Capitals. So yeah, I think the Capitals are at 8-1 odds. I don't understand how anyone actually can think that's real. But yeah, let's move on to the presidential election.
Woo!
Yeah, I guess. Woo.
I'm with her.
Yeah, I mean, did you think we would ever get to the point in American history where the best two candidates out of 300 million people we could muster up for the presidential election are Donald Trump?
A woman?
What?
Was a woman?
That's not even the point I'm trying to make. Donald Trump, who has been accused by 11 people at this point of sexual misconduct, and Hillary Clinton, who has more scandals than letters in her name.
Okay, I have supported Hillary Clinton in the 2008 election. I was for Hillary Clinton, even though I could not vote. But I feel like Hillary Clinton will be a very good president because of how ruthless she is. Like, I think she'll like kill people, and I'm fine with that. Like,
yeah,
I think she's gonna be. I think she'll be the closest thing we have to Frank Underwood as a president.
I think
and I think it's pretty cool. Like, I think she has files on every single person in Congress that she's just like, if you don't fucking get this through, like, I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah, I think
politically.
Now the thing is, I don't disagree. Here's the thing. Let me try and phrase this diplomatically, or it doesn't make me sound like a lunatic. How do I put this? Trump is not entirely wrong when he says the media is out to get him.
Okay, but at the same time, it's like the media just plays what he says, or says, "Oh, you tweeted this," and his campaign manager's like, "You can't pay attention to what he tweets."
Okay,
that's
not the point I'm trying to make.
Oh, okay.
The point I'm trying to make is, the other day on what was it, the 22nd at this point I think it was, he gave a speech in Gettysburg, what he called his Gettysburg Address. Did you hear about the speech?
No. Well, maybe I did. I don't know.
Okay. I think I sent you part of what he said in the speech. The only thing the media reported on that he said was that he was going to sue his accusers for libel.
Oh, okay.
and
That's fine.
slander.
Well, that's pretty big, I think. Well, I just think it's because no one cares what he has to say anymore, because there's very little chance that
Right,
he's actually going to win.
right. But you know what? I'm going to tell you his to-do list that he outlined. He outlined his first 100 days in
But at the same
office.
time, alright, I'll respond to it after you.
Okay,
You can
I
go.
only sent you part of this. So this is his. The first thing goes to anti-corruption for government officials. Number one, he wants a constitutional amendment to impose term limits on members of Congress.
I do agree with that.
Number two, he wants to put a hiring freeze on federal employees to reduce the workforce through attrition.
Yeah.
Number three, I don't know enough about that to render an agreement or disagreement. Number three, requirement to eliminate 2 federal regulations for every new one.
Okay, that's weird.
Number four, 5-year ban on White House and congressional officials from becoming lobbyists.
That one is a good one. Samantha
Yeah.
Bee did a really good story about that. I recommend watching it.
And then number five, a lifetime ban on White House officials lobbying for foreign governments. And number six, a complete ban on foreign lobbyists raising money for American elections.
All right, he's saying that, but it's like we still have no idea where his money comes from.
No,
And the
no. I'm not disagreeing with you on that. I'm just saying this is what he said during that speech, which
he's trying to get I think he's trying to like secretly try to get more Bernie Sanders supporters to switch to him.
obviously.
I guess not secretly.
Like, yeah, no shit. But now the next thing was, this is the thing that's a little bit more extreme. These are his pledges on immigration and the rule of law. And again, I'm only saying this now because I have not seen any major news outlet besides the one I got this from, which, again, I don't know which one it was because I just screenshotted it. This is the only one that actually said what he said during the speech.
Mm-hmm.
No other outlet covered this, which is ridiculous. So for immigration and, quote, this is in quotes, rule of law. Okay, number one, cancel President Obama's unconstitutional executive actions, memoranda, and orders.
That's so many. You can't. That's not how it works.
I think what he's referring to is like the ones that say we're not going to deport people.
Yeah, but at the same time, well, it's technically President Obama has been the closest president to a dictator we've had since FDR.
Yeah.
Because he's had the most executive orders, but at the same time, you can blame the Republicans in Congress for that because they're all shitheads.
Exactly.
I'm not saying that all the acts are good, but they refuse to work at all with any Democrats, so they just won't do anything.
Okay, then number two, big conservative replacement for Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia. Nothing wrong with that. Any Republican candidate for president would be saying that right now. Doesn't matter who you had, Mitt Romney, anyone would be saying, pick a conservative replacement for Scalia. So that's okay. Number three, cancel all federal funding to, quote, sanctuary cities that harbor illegal immigrants.
That's fun. Is that like L.A.?
L.A., New York City.
I'm sure that will go over well with
exactly.
those. I guess he's like already lost those votes, so who gives a fuck?
Number four, begin removing the 2 million criminal illegal immigrants in the United States and cancel visas to suspend countries that won't reparate them. Okay, that's a lot to bite off, but okay.
I'm pretty sure we already sent back criminal.
Is it like on South Park where they're just talking about with Matt Lauer interviewing Garrison and he's like, "You've pledged to rape 3 million people to death in the first 100 days of office."
That's basically what's happening. Because I think it was like Politico did it like math about how many buses it would take to like get rid of all the illegal immigrants, and there's like we would have to take all the buses that are in existence in America and like build like over 1,000 more.
Nice. And then number five, suspend immigration from terror-prone regions where incoming people can't be properly vetted.
Fun.
So Okay.
And
Now,
by vetted, he means take a test to see if they're Muslim.
basically, do you believe in Sharia law? All right, no, you can't come in. So now his plan for jobs and trade. He wants to renegotiate NAFTA or withdraw from it.
Well,
Okay,
do you know
this.
it's trumped up, trickled down
Oh my
economics.
god. Now keep this in mind because this sets the tone for the entire rest of this section.
Oh, is it all
Withdraw.
about his
What?
economics plan making countries pay us to protect them?
Basically, withdraw from the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Order the Secretary of the Treasury to label China a currency manipulator.
That's true. He's not the only person that thinks that. China does shit like
You
that a lot.
Yeah, use U.S. and international laws to end foreign trading abuses that unfairly impact American workers. That's okay. Lift restrictions on the production of $50 trillion worth of U.S. energy reserves, including shale, oil, natural gas, and coal.
Oh, so he's basically like all the oil companies just do whatever the fuck you want.
Basically, but in the United States for domestic energy sources. Um, then approve the Keystone XL pipeline project and other vital energy infrastructure projects.
That's actually really bad for energy costs because the end goal of the Keystone Pipeline is to build a port for natural gas in the Gulf of Mexico and then not refine any natural gas in the United States and refine it in another country, then ship it back to the United States to charge people more for it.
That's stupid.
And just yeah, that's what a lot of people don't realize. I support. I think Hillary Clinton's idea for that is good, where just do it on a state by state basis of how they want to deal with like fracking and oil and stuff.
Yeah. And then
I believe
number seven, cancel billions in payments to the UN climate change programs and use the money to improve U.S. water and environmental infrastructure. My opinion on the UN is the same as the one on Veep. When remember China, they accuse China of hacking them, and it's like, why don't we go to the UN, see if we can get the UN to help us? And she goes, oh, help us with what? Fix a parking ticket?
yeah, that's true. The UN, being a UN ambassador would probably be fun.
Yeah. Then he has his 10 acts that he pledges to get done in his first
By
100 days.
by putting through executive orders that he just called unconstitutional. I'm assuming.
Well, no, these are acts he's gonna push through Congress.
I'm sure Congress will love to work with him.
All right, so let's start with number one. We'll break this down. These are fun. Number one, the Middle Class Tax Relief and Simplification Act. It's an economic plan designed to grow the economy 4% per year and create 25 million new jobs. It involves tax cuts, trade reform, regulatory relief, lifting restrictions on energy production, and encouraging companies with offshore funds to bring them back to America.
You know what that sounds like?
What?
Trumped up trickle down economics.
Number two. I agree with this one, actually. This is actually a good idea.
Segregation.
No. End the Offshoring Act, which is to impose tariffs on goods brought into the United States by American companies that relocate manufacturing jobs to outside the United States.
That one is a good idea, but at the same time, it's like I get why other companies do that. Like we shouldn't. I'm against that also because we shouldn't, as a country, we shouldn't try to focus on bringing back manufacturing jobs. We should focus on our bringing up our lower class to better jobs, and then let other countries.
But we need this as a stopgap for the time being.
Like that's what with Hillary Clinton, like the environmental plan, where it's just like forced environmentalism. That's where all the jobs are going to be coming from, is like through building up our environmentally friendly infrastructure and like a new power grid and stuff like that.
And solar panels roads.
Yeah, that's your amazing idea.
Yeah. Why is it not a good idea?
What if there's traffic? If there's snow, it would become extremely slick.
I'm not saying you put just a solar panel down. You could put something on top of it too, so that way it keeps the friction
like a covered road.
Regular asphalt.
But can't you all just do a covered road?
Wait,
Just
what?
like the roof. Like, know how to have covered parking lots with solar panels?
Yeah,
Just do that, but on roads.
exactly.
But then we couldn't land planes on the highway, like Eisenhower envisioned.
Yeah, I don't think that's something we need to worry about right now, though.
Have you looked at Russia recently?
Yeah,
We need to
World War
get.
III is imminent.
Oh, wait, did you hear what Russia wants to do?
No.
This was a very. I saw this in the on Politico, and I thought it was overlooked. They sent emissaries here, like a lot of them, to overlook all of our polling stations.
Nice.
And then, like, the government was like, "What? Like, fuck you!" And then they're just like, "Fuck off." And then the Russia like went to the UN actually and complained that America's not being nice to them, and not letting Russian diplomats into all the polling stations.
What was it? I think, all I know is being on Long Island, when World War III inevitably happens, and the nuke goes off, and we're all, like, dying, all I'll be able to do is grab a lawn chair, put it on my front lawn, and just watch the flames engulf me.
You can get a boat.
Yeah, okay.
For me, I'm probably in shit too because I'm pretty close to Russia.
Yeah, you're
So
the first one.
I'm probably in the first strike zone.
Yeah. Like you, LA, Seattle.
Yes, I'm in Seattle.
Oh, I don't know why I thought you were in Portland.
That's close enough. It's only like 3 hours. No, it's like 2 hours away actually.
Okay, so then Act 3. The American Energy and Infrastructure Act. Holy shit. Okay, I hit the wrong button. Use public-private partnerships and tax incentives to generate $1 trillion in infrastructure investments over 10 years. Again, can we have more specifics?
I love his numbers. That he's doing all these tax cuts, but it's bringing in trillions of dollars.
Yeah, I don't understand where these numbers are coming from or how they work.
Because this literally is just trickle down. Like, all joking aside, it is trickle down economics. Like, this tax cuts do not cause more jobs. Like, it's been proven before.
Number 4. This one, I go back and forth on. This is an education-related one. It's the School Choice and Education Opportunity Act.
Everyone gets to choose if they get an education or not.
No. Part of it's really good, part of it not so much. The first part is good. I like the first part. Redirects education dollars, not that part, to allow parents to choose any public, private, or charter, magnet, religious, or homeschool that they want. Which basically is the voucher program, which would be if someone is too low income to afford going to a private school, that's no longer the barrier to keep them from going there.
But then what is a private school? Like,
the private school is just you need to have a good enough GPA to get in.
You
need to be a good enough student.
That's fine.
So if you have the ability...
I don't like charter schools in theory because charter schools are just like the states or city saying, we know our public school have all failed, so we're going to have these now.
Yeah. Then the other part... ends the Common Core federal standards and expands... this is the good part. Expands vocational and technical education. Yeah, I agree with that part. The Common Core, I go back and forth on.
I am not a fan of the Common Core from what little I know about it.
The Common Core is... You need something similar to it.
The Antichrist incarnate.
No, you need something similar to it. The Common Core may not be the best system, but I'm not a teacher. I don't know what would be the best way to implement. But you do need some kind of national standard for teaching.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you end up with the South teaching about the War of Northern Aggression and having creationism taught side by side with evolution in science class.
Yup.
So that can't happen. Like, we need some national standard.
I think we should just look to New Jersey.
That's where we got the Common Core from.
I don't think so.
Yeah. Chris Christie championed the Common Core on a national level. Then when he was running for president, he's like, the Common Core is stupid. We shouldn't have to do it.
I didn't have to use it. I think I was like probably one of the last years that did not have the Common Core.
Yeah, probably.
Because I
Um,
had no idea what it was.
I think it started in 2014 actually. But anyway, Act 5. You knew this one was coming. The Repeal and Replace Obamacare Act.
Did he actually say to replace it with what?
It says replaces the Affordable Care Act with health savings accounts, removes barriers to purchasing health insurance across state lines, and allows states to manage Medicaid funds, and speeds up drug approval inside the FDA.
Hmm. There's a reason why the FDA doesn't have fast drug approval. And it's not because they like want people to die, and it's also not because of Obamacare.
Yeah, well, whatever. No one
Like
accused Trump
there's
of being smart.
tests that should. I hope he calls it like Trumpacare.
Yes. Yes. Um, this one is a good one. Affordable Child Care and Elder Care Act provides tax deductions for child care and elder care and incentivizes employers to provide on-site child care services.
That is a cool one. But I feel like that should be a state issue. Like these are
Yeah,
way
that's
too.
definitely a state rights thing.
Yeah, I don't believe in the federal government as much. I'd like the Articles of Confederation are for me.
Okay, that's a bold stance. Anyway, End Illegal Immigration Act. This is another one. Guess what the first sentence is?
Build a wall.
Yep, funds a wall on the U.S.-Mexico border, with the full understanding the country of Mexico will be responsible for reimbursing the United States.
Oh, oh my God! Especially after he talks so much about how we're not going to pay any other countries. Like, how does he expect Mexico to pay us back if he did that?
I think the problem, the big problem with this, no, you know
Actually,
what
I just
this
figured
is?
out. I figured out another problem with this. You can go first though.
Notice it says Mexico doesn't have to pay us back. It says we have the understanding that Mexico will pay us back, which means we, the
Yeah.
taxpayers, are fronting the money to build this wall. And we have to understand Mexico might pay us back if they feel like it.
Yep.
That's what
The
this
other
act
big
says.
problem with this is that it's like over 80% of illegal immigration isn't from Mexico. It's from people like flying in or traveling here legally and then staying.
Yeah,
Like, I don't think people understand that. Oh, wait, no, also, how he keeps talking about how the ICE, like the ICE, has to, like, endorse him for candidate, like, for president.
yeah.
I hope, like, I didn't realize it. I had to, like, look it up. Those aren't, like federal border patrol agents. Those are those weird redneck hillbillies that, like, just stand around with guns near the border.
Like the ones in Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, and like the ones they made fun of on a Daily Show, I think, where they
Yes.
went down there and it's that one guy building a wall with like 3 foot high barbed wire.
Nice. Then establishes a 2-year mandatory minimum federal prison sentence for illegally re-entering the United States after deportation, 5-year mandatory minimum for felons who illegally re-enter, and 5 years for coming back after multiple deportations, increasing penalties for overstaying visas. Now, I have one other problem with this.
It's kind of hard to federally charge people of other nations.
Well, that's one thing.
And
The other
also when
problem,
he kept talking about how illegal immigrants are like clogging our prisons and we have to send them back, but now he wants to send them all to prison.
well, that's the other thing. Now, if they come into our country illegally and they're a drain on our resources, why would you send them to a federal prison where now they are continuing to drain our resources on a bigger level?
Yeah,
Because now not only are we
exactly.
paying for that, we basically the way it works in his mind, if I understand it correctly, which I don't think anyone does to be honest. But I think the way he understands illegal immigration to work is they're coming into our country, they're taking a job, they're not paying income tax,
And then
so
in the meantime,
we're just losing money that way.
raping and pillaging
Right? Yeah, I forgot about that.
and
They're
selling
they're
drugs.
Viking they're Viking conquerors. That too. Um,
Oh, do you want
but
to know a fun statistic also?
sure.
Illegal immigration actually, the reason like crime statisticians don't like illegal immigration is that it brings down the national average for crime.
Hmm.
But as long as you don't count illegal immigration as a crime, it brings down the national average because most illegal immigrants do not commit any crime at all because that's how you get kicked out.
That's true. That's also true. Um,
So the
But
reason so many are able to stay is because they're not criminals.
but what was it? The other thing was, if that's the only thing they're doing, then throwing them into prison is just making it where now not only are you not generating any income on their work, but you're also paying to house and feed them and keep them
And
safe.
yeah, and give them really good medical care.
Exactly. So you're losing more money.
Oh, and you're introducing them to gangs at a much higher level.
Which is more likely to make, because then what happens? Okay, you put them in federal prison for 2 years. Now do you send them back to Mexico where they can
They
have a
have much
there's
more
like
gang connections.
exactly like you're just making it worse. So now number 8, Restoring Community Safety Act
I'm
creates a
assuming this is making a national stop and frisk policy or something like that.
creates a task force on violent crime, increases
Uh,
federal funding of police force, and
uh,
boosts federal support for anti-gang prosecution. Prosecution, yes.
prostitution.
If you're in a
That's
gang,
the
they're gonna force you to have sex with people. Um, that's that sounds really bad. I have a feeling he doesn't mean it. I don't know. Actually, you never
That
can
sounds
tell.
like what LAPD did when they had like tanks going into majority black neighborhoods, where as a nation or like he's gonna federally target like minorities,
Yeah,
especially because he says all black people live in hell, aka the inner city.
yeah,
When I think they released a study right after that where 80% of black people that live in a city actually live in the suburbs.
Now there's 2 more. I'm gonna start with number 10. This is an easy one to get out of the way. Clean Up Corruption in Washington Act, which enacts new ethics reforms affecting politicians and their staffers. Which wouldn't ethics reforms also affect him?
No, because he's the president. He's Trump.
That's true. I think just be like Putin. He's gonna create a fake position for himself to stay in power after he's no longer president.
He becomes prime minister of America.
Yeah. So you democratically elect a president, but we have Prime Minister Trump. Then number 9 is the Restoring National Security Act.
Uh-oh.
Eliminates the federal defense sequester to restore military funding. Guarantees veterans the option of private health care if VA facility wait times are long, and institutes new defenses against cyber attacks, and establishes new immigration screening based on values.
Hmm.
His values are actually not as bad as you would think. It's like, do you support gay marriage? Like, do you support women having equal rights to men? Like, that kind of stuff. If you answer yes to both of those, you're not allowed in the country, though. You just gotta work on which side he wants the answers to. But yeah, so he's still a lunatic, and he's not fit for office.
Well,
But we
yeah,
just, I just
yeah.
wanted to give him fair time.
He definitely did not come up with any of these policies.
True, yeah, that's also
Like, we have definitely found out, like, the people running his campaign are somewhat competent, and his children are somewhat competent, and that the worst part of his campaign is him.
yeah. I can see Ivanka Trump.
You can't have, like, he just randomly will say stupid shit, and then his, like, surrogates are like, oh, you can't listen to that. And it's like, yes, because anything he says is, like, he would be the president.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially because, he talked about so much about how he loves Twitter because that's the way he reaches all his supporters, and that his Twitter is really important. And then they questioned his campaign manager about his Twitter, and she's like, you can't, use that as a credible source because it's Twitter. And they're like, well, he says it's his credible source.
Yeah. But yeah, I predict Hillary's gonna win this election. That's what I'm going
I
with.
think most people do.
I have one
If you
other
really,
thing.
if you want, oh yeah, you can go.
No, you go first. Mine's a bit
Okay,
lengthy.
I have something. If you feel like you might not like Hillary Clinton as a person, I really recommend listening to the With Her podcast. It's definitely like propaganda. It's a Hillary Clinton
Well,
podcast.
really?
Yeah, but it's really short. It's usually under 20 minutes long. And it's this guy just talking to Hillary Clinton about shit. But I like it. I don't think they talk about Trump once the entire time, like in every episode. So they don't attack Trump at all, which is refreshing. It's just like him asking her some questions about, like, some of them is like what books she reads and like how she relaxes. But then the episode I like the most is he asks her like what gets her mad, and like she went like on a mini rant about how angry she is about the Zika virus and how it's something that should be easy to fix, but because of fighting in like Washington and state like government, that people are just ignoring the problem, and like she got really pissed off about it. And then same with the Flint, Michigan problem, and she's like, people look up to us as a country, and we can't even give our citizens drinking water.
Yeah.
And I really like those episodes. There's an episode where he interviews Bill Clinton, and it's amazing. Because Bill Clinton talks about how much he loves Antique Roadshow and HGTV.
Nice.
And he was just like, he was just like, I don't get it. Like, she loves Antique Roadshow. I think it's really boring.
I am definitely voting for them now. Like,
And he talks about how he's pumped to be like the first husband in the White House, and he's like excited to run the like household.
The first gentleman.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm trying to think of a way to phrase this. Again, this is definitely not pro-Trump, but I don't want to offend anyone on the right. I don't know if we have any right-leaning listeners. I don't want to offend anyone. The Republican Party has to get their shit together.
Can I go on my rant about how
you go first. I gotta collect my thoughts.
Okay. I used to say I would vote for Republican if there was a candidate I liked. And like Mitt Romney I was close to because he was like a smart person. But like the Republicans as a party is just so backwards. Like you have these ultra religious people that I have no idea what they're talking about running for government. And it's like the first thing is like separation of church and state. But you have like these people that are basing all their policies off of like the word of God they make up in their head. And then you have like, so they're like actively oppressing people, and they're like openly racist, and everyone's fine with that. And like they're against science. The Science Commission in the House, like their job is to make sure people are doing science responsibly, but it's run by Republicans. So now what they're doing is if you do any stem cell research, they started subpoenaing like everyone involved, like techs, like research assistants, not just the PIs, and there's accusing them of buying the subpoena says this, buying baby body parts from Planned Parenthood. That's how they worded it instead of saying stem cells, which isn't true because they're not doing that. And then the next thing they did, this is when I was like, I hate all Republicans, is they released all of the personal information of everyone they subpoenaed to the public because they said they wanted to be more transparent. So now all of these people are targeted by the religious like idiots that will attack like stem cell research people.
Oh my god!
And then they're like, it's not. Then they didn't even try to say like, oh, we were hacked. They're just like, we're trying to be more transparent, so we want everyone to know who's involved. And some of them refuse to believe in climate change. They refuse to believe in evolution. But it's just crazy to me that
war of northern aggression.
Yeah, that it's not even just the South. It's just like any Republican. It's just crazy. Like I can't understand how they. Luckily, I think the Republican Party is about to do a major shift, or they're a dying breed where we'll see the third parties begin to rise. Also, what's funny is that their founding member Thomas Jefferson was an open atheist.
Nice.
So that's funny.
Yeah, the Republican Party, they're never going to win another election.
They'll win in 2 years. What usually ends up happening is a pattern where there's a surge for the Democrats every 4 years because younger people are stupid and will only vote for the president because they have no idea how the government works. Mm-hmm. But Republican voters come out much more strong for just the congressional races because they have a more basic understanding of how the government functions. So that's why Obama lost, or like the Democrats lost the House after Obama won, because no Democrats came out to vote for other Democrats. and the Republicans had a big surge.
I want to take a minute and just acknowledge I did major in political science, you know.
I didn't say you. I just saying a lot of Democrats.
I am
Other young
aware
people.
of
I
how
think
the
I
ebbs
wish
and
we had
tides
more.
work.
Civics classes. I think would be a good idea, so people understand that to actually have change, you need to vote for your Congress people and not just the president. It's crazy how many people think the president is basically a dictator of the country and are just fine. One, they're fine with it, and two, they think that voting for the president will change things.
Yeah. But here's the thing, and here's why we're in this situation right now. Look at the candidates that ran on both parties. For the Democrats, you had Mike O'Malley. Was it Martin O'Malley? Mike O'Malley?
I completely forget. I only remember Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders.
Okay, so yeah, he ran. He got 0.5% of the vote in the first primary. He's like, okay, I'm done, and then he dropped out. Then you had Bernie Sanders, an ultra left-wing socialist, non-establishment candidate who was one of the longest-serving senators in government, and Hillary Clinton, who is Hillary Clinton, and I think she just goes into her own category altogether. On the other side, you have Chris Christie, who is the most moderate Republican you'll find,
but
arguably.
Not once he ran for president, that kind of got thrown out the window.
Yeah, well, yeah, because the thing is, you have to appeal to the base.
That's
for
true
the
too.
primaries.
Yeah, I started hating Chris Christie a lot once he ran for president.
He didn't push any amusement parks into the ocean.
But he wore baseball pants, and that's just a crime against humanity.
Exactly. Donald Trump, who is the biggest right-wing zealot on the planet right now. Who else was there? Marco Rubio.
Rudy Giuliani.
I don't know what Marco Rubio stands for, or
he has giant ears.
Yeah,
that
Jeb
was
Bush,
my takeaway.
I
like Jeb Bush.
He's
cool
proving
guy.
the point that America does learn from their mistakes. And the first two Bushes weren't a good start, so why try
My favorite
a third?
joke so far with Trump is the most important Bush in this election was Billy Bush.
Yeah.
Who is Jeb Bush's and George W. Bush's first cousin. They're actually related.
Who else was there? Ted Cruz.
The Antichrist. And / Zodiac Killer.
Who also, I think I should bring up, not a natural born citizen.
Yes, yeah. No one really. We talked about that a lot, and I talked to people that talked about that a lot, but not a lot of not even Trump talked about that, and that's
exactly, which is weird considering to this day he brings up the fact that he does not believe that Obama was born in the United States.
Yes. I feel like when people are like, it's not racist that he said that, and I was like, the fact that he never talked about Ted Cruz, who was actually not born in the United States, and then he would
openly admitted it too.
Yeah, and then talk about how much he basically doesn't believe Obama is American because he's black. That's definitely has racial undertones.
Exactly. Then and what's his name? There was the other guy, the surgeon.
Oh, Ben Carson. I hated Ben Carson more than any of them actually, because he would use the excuse that he was a neurosurgeon to be ignorant on policy, and also push right-wing nonsense through. He would talk about how being gay is a choice, and he knows because he's a neurosurgeon.
Yep. I mean, you study neuropsychology. Is that accurate?
Yeah. No, it is not accurate. His evidence, someone asked him once, and he said because in prison, some men have gay sex, so that means being gay is a choice.
Well, that logic is airtight, but...
The best was the Triumph special. The guy that was on SNL, I forgot what his name is.
Yes, I remember that.
He played Ben Carson, and everyone believed it was Ben Carson. And he accidentally stabbed himself in the stomach. Oh, that was good.
And then there was one more big one. I don't remember her name, though.
Oh, Carly Fiorina or something? Fiorina.
And yeah, she was there for a little bit. But that's all the Republicans to muster up this time.
Yeah.
Mitt Romney sat it out, Paul Ryan sat it out.
Michael Bloomberg. I would have voted for Michael Bloomberg.
I would have too. But Bloomberg's not a Republican.
He is. He changed he changed to he just made up that he was a Democrat so he could win the New York City like race.
Um, what else was there?
Then Rudy Giuliani just hangs out and screams racial slurs in the background.
Yeah, exactly.
Or
Giuliani,
the
I
semen on
think
my
Giuliani has
dress.
lost his mind completely.
Oh, he's definitely just gone completely insane. Oh,
Yeah.
he was at that the Catholic dinner, and Hillary Clinton like made fun of him, and they showed him, and he looked like he was about to start screaming. Like he just sat there enraged.
I think the funniest thing that he said was, this is a quote, "In the 8 years prior to the Obama presidency, there was not one single attack on U.S. soil as the
Oh yeah,
result of Islamic extremism." And I'm
that
like,
was.
you were mayor at the time that the single biggest instance of that happened, when
And
9/11 happened.
my favorite thing is the when he said he like yelled, "There was semen stains on her dress," and then they like kept repeating it over and over. Oh, it was so good. And him talking about how all black people dying is just from black on black violence. That was a great one too. And he denied
The
that
gem.
police were involved. I'm
Nice
trying to
gem.
think. He said a lot of great things this election season. I don't even know how he like just came. He just like came out of nowhere and just became this like crazy old man just
Yeah.
screaming shit.
Yeah, I
Um,
think,
I also hate Mike Pence. He sucks giant dick.
yeah.
He's the one that put through where if you're religious, you don't have to serve gay people. Like that's his law.
No, I didn't know that.
And I'll talk about the Syrian thing where he accepted federal funding to take Syrian refugees and then tried to deny Syrian refugees into his state. So that's fun. But then luckily the federal government told him to go fuck off and dumped a bunch of Syrian refugees inside Indiana.
But yeah,
He's just weird. He seems very pedophile to me.
I don't like Hillary's running mate either. Tim
Tim
Kaine.
Kaine, America's dad.
He seems to, much like he's trying to channel Joe Biden, but Joe Biden did that naturally.
Yeah, Joe Biden's just awesome. Did you hear what Joe Biden said about Trump?
No, what did he say?
Someone asked him, "Oh, do you regret not running so you can run against Trump?" And he was just like, "No, I don't regret it. I just wish I was in high school so I could tell him to meet me back like behind the gym, and then then he'd see who like what I'm about or something like that." So
Nice.
he threatened to physically assault Donald Trump. He definitely would win.
Yeah.
Oh,
And then
I so wish Joe Biden ran too. I would have voted for Joe Biden in a second. He's fucking awesome.
yeah. And then there was one more thing. So back on my thing. My biggest problem with this election, out of everything, and there's a lot to have a problem with, is that the Democrats are not attempting to appeal to the person who's swaying toward Trump.
No, they're taking this for granted.
Because no, and you know why? Because by not appealing to them, you ensure your next election will be won too.
That is true.
Because here's the thing. Trump supporters are people who were, and here, aside from the racist ones who just don't want to have brown people in the country, people who support him on economics are people who lost their job, their nice union job during the 2008 financial collapse when all the industry left. And this is why he has so much support in Suffolk County on Long Island. Industry left. Way before the 2008 collapse, back when I think it was Grumman it was called, used to manufacture airplanes on Long Island. That left completely, and just kind of left a vacuum where there's no industry anymore. Kodak left upstate New York. He always talked about upstate New York, but I don't think he knows what company it was that left. It was Kodak. Kodak went out of business in
But
2007.
they still have Jello.
Kodak went out of business in 2007, and all of the jobs manufacturing the film, the darkroom and stuff, the cameras, all of that left too.
That was kind of good for the environment though, because Kodak was dumping all the chemical waste into the Hudson River.
Well, that's neither here nor there. It's good for the environment, yes, but it's bad for the economy of upstate New York. Because if you go through these small towns, like when I was doing my college tours, we would go through these desolate towns on the way to like Ithaca to go tour Cornell, and it's
Oh, upstate New York.
like nothing. It's desolate. We went to this one town, Homer, and it was just like nothing. Everything was out of business. It was awful. Like, on Long Island, there was a murder behind an abandoned Kmart.
That's
Like,
fun.
there are so many things wrong with that sentence. The fact they found a dead body behind a Kmart that was too expensive for the area. That it went out of business. Like, what the hell does that say? Um, but they get rid of the all of that's gone. So now you have these people like Trump who said we're gonna bring jobs back. Okay,
Yeah,
how are you gonna bring jobs back?
the Hard Nation that is a podcast. It's supposed to be a political satire podcast where it's an ultra right twin brother with an ultra left twin brother, and they like just like make fun. And they're like caricatures of each side, so it's fun because you get both sides. But
Mm-hmm.
they're actually very insightful about like the state of politics, and they like mention things. And I'm like, that makes really good sense. Like they had someone making fun of Lena Dunham, and he was like, "Wow, it's so impressive that you found the hidden talent of like Brian Williams' daughter. Like, I wonder where she was hiding this whole time." And then they're like, "So you, all of you upper middle class like white women play fake poor people in New York City that aren't really that poor and live in pretty nice apartments." And then and they're like, and you wonder why people think like the Northeast is like disenfranchised with the rest of the country.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. But then what ends up happening is, um, now they're not the Democrats. If you go online and you search list of people who support Donald Trump, list of congressmen who support Donald Trump, or candidates in this current election who support Donald Trump, there is no comprehensive list.
People are being smart.
No, the smart thing would be think of you've seen Hercules, the Disney
I
movie.
have. Oh wait, I actually found a list,
Oh, you did?
full list where every Republican in Congress stands on Donald Trump.
Oh no, I saw that, but I was looking for one that had a list of just like
There are people running.
right for people just who are running
Oh, okay, yeah.
to see who stands where. Because and now I'm gonna go with the Hercules analogy. I know I've said we shouldn't be using analogies in policy, but this is a really good one that I came up with over a few weeks. Um, you've seen Hercules, obviously.
Yeah,
Do you remember when he fights the Hydra?
yeah.
Where the Hydra is the beast, you cut off one head, it grows more heads. I'm not going to use a quote from Captain America because that would make this undignified. This is a dignified podcast. God damn, we talk about Disney movies, we talk about politics. Now, when you're confronting this situation, they're not fighting this as if it's a Hydra where there's multiple heads. They're fighting one head, Trump, and focusing on that. You need to get rid of all of the other senators who agree with Trump.
Yeah.
Because unless you're cutting the head off and burning where it comes from, it's just going to come back again next time. Because Trump isn't the illness, Trump is the symptom. Trump is the symptom of the bigger problem in the country, which is that people feel like the government isn't representing them. And then by continuing to not represent them, you just plant the seeds for them to come back next time, put up another stupid candidate, so that way you can put up whoever you want. Because Hillary's going to be running for re-election in 2020. But then in
Soon in
2024,
2020.
you're going to have a whole new candidate.
I think the next Republican candidate is a junior Republican congressman that's going to get elected to Congress this cycle.
I don't think so. I think
And I think he's going to have built up 4 years, and he's going to be a young, like, hip guy, and then he's going to be ready to go.
it's going to be Pence, Clinton in 2024, in 2020, and
Yeah,
in
I think
2024.
people agree with me that Pence is really creepy.
Well, no, I know, but the thing is, in the VP debate, he looks pretty presidential.
Yeah, I guess so.
Like he looked like he was like. And the thing is, he's been distancing himself from Trump enough where now he's on the national stage and he's trying to keep it in people's minds, so that way when it comes time for that to happen, he can run.
But he's also an idiot.
He is. But who isn't in the Republican Party? Like, find me
True
someone
that.
who isn't. And then, but the thing is, you need to get rid of the Lee Zeldins. Now, I don't know if anyone else knows their representative or how they stand. My congressional district is a battleground district because Lee Zeldin was voted in 2 years ago, and his seat's contested. Lee Zeldin's a massive Trump supporter. Lee Zeldin serves on the Committee for Foreign Affairs that focuses on Syria and ISIS, the subcommittee for Syria and ISIS. And he is he's supposedly an expert on how to handle these problems. Of the 17 meetings that they held on Syria and ISIS for the subcommittee, he attended 2 meetings.
Nice.
And he's an expert on Syria and ISIS.
Well, he's an expert, so he doesn't have to go to those meetings.
He has voted repeatedly to defund Planned Parenthood and ban all abortions. He has voted to ban emergency contraception because it's considered an abortion.
Life at fuck.
He has voted against any restrictions on guns, including background checks and closing loopholes and by the way, I'm gonna point right now, this podcast is not in any way supported by Anna Thorne Holst. This is just like pointing out what this guy has done.
But if you want
I sound like a political ad right now.
We'll have it.
But I can't stand it. Every congressperson who supports Trump, it's not enough to beat Trump by a landslide. Every one of these candidates needs to lose by a landslide too. And people need to be mobilized to get rid of these people from office, to get rid of it permanently. And Hillary Clinton should not be ignoring these people. And when she called them deplorables, it was what really opened my eyes to that fact that she was just ignoring these people just so that way she can get reelected in 4 years. But,
yeah, definitely.
But because what she should be doing is the tariff system to bring back jobs. I want to stop hearing about Social Security, so I'm gonna publicly make my plan known, so that way if anyone with any political clout hears this, they can decide to use it and try to get it passed. What you do to fix the Social Security problem is you take the fucking cap off. Did you know there's a cap on how much tax you get charged for Social Security?
I did, but it's only because you told me.
Right. Because you get taxed on your first, I think it's $155,000 you make. So anyone who makes more than that only gets taxed on the first $155,000, and both your employer gets taxed and you get taxed. Now, for someone who doesn't make that much money, their entire income gets taxed. But someone like Bill Gates or Steve Jobs, or who is dead, but Tim Cook or Mark Zuckerberg, who are making millions and millions of dollars, they would add, I did the math for, I think it was Tim Cook, it would add about $9 million to the Social Security fund. If we did this universally across the country, it would solve the problem. But why don't we do it? Because it creates a stupid non-issue that distracts from the actual issues. Because if we got rid of this cap, you wouldn't have to talk about Social Security ever again. Yep. And it's ridiculous. But we need to keep people distracted from what's actually happening. And so that's what we need to do. So if you live in a district, look up your representative. If you live in the United States, what I want you to do, go online, look up your representative, see where they align with Trump.
Well, for me, because I live in the city of Seattle, I just looked up, because I have my booklet for my voting thing. There's no option to vote for a Republican for my congressional district.
Oh, that works out then.
It's just between 2 Democrats because they know I think the Republicans know there's zero chance.
Yeah.
In the city.
But if you,
I'm voting for Pramila Jayapal.
Like, I'm voting for Anna Thorne Holst for my district. But if I'm not saying the Democrats are 100% perfect either, because their $15 an hour minimum wage plan is insane. Like, that's a
We already
ridiculous
have
plan.
that in Seattle, but it's going to be implemented over like 5 or 6 years.
I, it's insane, and like it needs to be phased in. You need to put subsidies in place so you don't drive out of business small mom and pop stores and small businesses. You need to put in systems so that way even large companies can accommodate it. And then besides, you gotta come up with a way so that way it doesn't end up with people losing money and people being laid off. Because I don't understand this lapse in logic on the left where you say all these big businesses are corrupt on every level, but and yet you expect them to, like, oh, the people at the top are to take a pay cut to take all these employees. It's fine. They'll just take a pay cut. They're not going to do that. They're going to cut your hours. They're going to fire you, or they're going to close down stores. Because if they can run with less people to do the same amount of work, then they're going to do that. You're making $15 an hour. You're going to do more now.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
Or get kiosks to do everything,
exactly.
like what fast food places are doing.
Um, But yeah, so I think that wraps it up for what we've covered this
I
week.
think so.
But again, like I said, if you live in the United States and you don't want Trump or you don't want anything like Trump to happen again, look into your local election, see where they stand, and spread the word. Because where I am, a lot of people support Zeldin, and a lot of people would have just voted for him because he's the incumbent. But I'm telling people where he stands on stuff, and they're changing their minds. Or they're just telling me
Yeah.
they're changing their minds to shut me up. Either way, people are aware of what's going on here. And if enough people knew what was happening in their district, you could actually make change, which needs to drastically happen. And that's it for this week. I think this is one of our better ones, if I'm going to be honest.
Are we done?
No, we're still on.
Oh, okay.
I just wanted to pat myself on the back there real quick.
This has been a good episode.
So yeah, let me take a look at my calendar, see what we
Excuse
have
me.
coming up. I need to drink something. Holy crap. Next week's Halloween, so we probably won't be doing an episode next week. On Monday, we might squeeze one in later in the week. I look at my schedule. Thursday, we have Thursday the 3rd. We have Doctor Strange coming out, so we're gonna be doing a Beware of Spoilers for that. The 17th of November, we have a Beware of Spoilers for Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. And then we also have on this week we have both Moneyball and Bad News Bears on Thursday for 30-minute reviews, and then at some point next week we'll squeeze in a Halloween episode where we'll mash up all the movies we said we were going to do for Halloween that due to technical issues and scheduling issues we didn't cover any of yet. But I think we have like Nightmare on Elm Street, Evil Dead 1 and 2, As Above, So Below. I'll tweet out more information. If you have Twitter and you want to follow us on the Twitter for the show, it's at 30min, M-I-N, review. Or if you can follow me on Twitter, my Twitter is at AdamTaylor792. We may have more cool stuff coming out in the near future. I think within the next few weeks, we'll be working out what we're going to be doing for this year's year in review.
That'd be fun.
I don't think we'll be doing last year's format. That was a shit show. I think we're going to modify that slightly. And then early in the year next year, we'll be doing a special HBO episode. We'll be talking about a bunch of HBO shows. Westworld, Game of Thrones, The Newsroom, Veep. Basically anything that's good on HBO. We'll cover it all next week.
I don't think Newsroom is in that.
Not next week. Next year at some point. So we'll be back with all of that in the next few weeks. So we'll see you then.
Bye.